Okay, guys, and we're back with another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest. I'm Seth from the Lonely Stunner podcast, and this is episode 47 of my side quest. Now, in this episode, we're going to be talking about some recent reports from the Ring magazine that saw a member of Gervonta Davis's team inquire with a top-rank executive about the availability of Vasily Lomachenko as a potential opponent for Gervonta Davis later on in the year. Obviously, Gervonta Davis is coming off a controversial draw with Lamont Roach in a fight that, in my opinion, I did think Roach won, but Gervonta Davis definitely had his moments in that fight. I think it was a robbery. I think Lamont Roach did enough to win that fight, so he'd be very upset with the draw, but I could understand. I can't really understand, because even though Gervonta Davis did clean work and was landing body shots and early on the fight was initiating a lot of exchanges, Lamont Roach picked his moments very well and counterboxed beautifully. Nonetheless, this isn't a reaction recap from Gervonta Davis v Lamont Roach. This is a video about the reports of Tank v Lomachenko. Now, if this fight was to happen 6 years ago, I would have said hands down Lomachenko, right? Lomachenko is too quick, too skilled of a boxer, defensively, or not defensively, but in terms of offensive footwork, he's too hard to hit, essentially. He's too elusive, right? Back then, Lomachenko would be running rings around fighters. At least this is how it would feel. But Lomachenko's older now. I mean, both guys are small. Lomachenko will probably be smaller than Gervonta. Actually, I don't know. Because I know Lomachenko did fight at 126, went up to 130, and I think they both now fight at 135. So I think both of them are both guys that have come up to the weight class. So it's not like they're both huge for the weight class at all. But everyone knows Gervonta Davis can bang. Right, Gervonta Davis can seriously bang. And Lomachenko's been hit before now. He's been dropped. He's got a couple losses on his resume. He's not, in my opinion, as elusive as he once was, in my opinion. Like I said, if this fight was 6 years ago, I would have said hands down Lomachenko. But if this fight was to happen later on in the year, assuming they don't do an immediate rematch with Roach, which would be weird for them not to do, admittedly, the Lamont Roach rematch is the obvious option there. But say a Lomachenko fight does happen, I would be really interested to see the odds for that, because I kind of fancy Gervonta Davis to crack him. I'll be honest. Now, Lomachenko would be the best boxer Gervonta Davis had fought, and Gervonta Davis would probably be the biggest puncher Lomachenko has fought, considering he got put in his ass by Jorge Linares, which was a very good fight, and we saw some serious toughness from Lomachenko, and he got dropped, he came up and still won the fight, and put in a very good performance. But, Gervonta Davis is a different kettle of fish at these sorts of weight classes, and we've seen him knock out so many boxers. He didn't knock out Lamont Roach, but in my opinion, I'm not one of these guys that is, what have you done for me lately? Just because you drew against Lamont Roach, who's a very good boxer, doesn't mean that your past 28 knockouts mean nothing to me. That's a bit silly, and that is the typical boxing fan on social media. But if that fight is to happen, call me crazy. And it does sound crazy, because I am such a big Lomachenko fan. Honestly, he's one of my favourite boxers ever. And I've said this before as well. If you was to tell me when both of these guys turned pro, Lomachenko and Usyk, that Usyk was going to have the better career, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have said, yeah, that's crazy. And arguably, no, Usyk has had the better career. Undoubtedly at this point. He's still unbeaten. Right, Lomachenko's lost. Right? Even though Lomachenko's won more world titles at more weight divisions, obviously, because he's at these smaller weight classes where there's a new weight class every 5 pounds, every 10 pounds. Whereas when you're a cruiserweight, you can only go up. Because going from 200 pounds to 175 is not easy. So Usyk, as a grown man, cutting down to light heavyweight, very unlikely. But him going from cruiserweight to heavyweight is a jump that is relatively common in boxing. And for a cruiserweight, is the only option you've really got. Because Usyk won all the world titles at cruiserweight, was undisputed. At that point, you've dominated that division. Your only option is to go up to heavyweight and win all the belts, and that's exactly what he done. And Lomachenko's had a great career as well, undoubtedly. You know, who could say Lomachenko's not had a great career? But I think he is a touch slower now. He's not been as active as he had been in recent years. I think obviously the war in Ukraine has sort of impacted that. I think safe to say, obviously, as it would with anyone. If there was a major war going on in your country, it would affect your career. But call me crazy, but I'm almost siding with Gervonta Davis for that fight. I almost think Gervonta Davis could catch him and just put him on his ass, and maybe Lomachenko doesn't recover. Maybe he does though, because he's good enough to do it. He's a boxer that's been in every situation imaginable as an amateur and as a pro. Like even though Gervonta Davis has more pro experience, believe me, Lomachenko has been in the ring far more than Gervonta Davis. Lomachenko will know that ring inside out. But also, what comes with that experience often does come with miles on the clock. And I know as an amateur, of course, you wear headgear, but he's a two-time Olympian. That's a lot. He's had hundreds of amateur fights, a lot of training camps, a lot of sparring, a lot of amateur fights. He's going to have miles on the clock. And the way he fights as well is very energy intensive. Think about what he's doing. When he's fighting and he's throwing combos, then spinning around and throwing two, three more shots. Of course, you're feeling good in the fight because you're landing more shots and you're landing cleanly, but you're still jumping around and spinning these guys and running around a lot and moving a lot. It's all stuff that's going to affect the gas tank, and especially when you're facing someone as big of a puncher as Gervonta Davis, he only needs one punch, and he can rock you or put you on your ass or put you out. So I think it's a really interesting fight, and who knows if that fight happens. If it does, great. If not, maybe we'll see the Lamont Roach v Gervonta Davis 2, the rematch. But yeah, I'd be curious to know what you guys think of that fight as well, actually. Do you think Tank would beat Lomachenko, or do you think Lomachenko would just outskill Gervonta Davis? Because honestly, I could see either thing happening. But yeah, that's it from me. Another episode of the Seth Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.